Buckle your seatbelts, kiddies, because today we're taking a look at this guy. Hey guys, this is Awesome John 22 coming to you today with another review. In fact, today I am recording not one, not two, but 3 reviews for all you guys. One of them is a bit simplistic, one of them is a bit short, one of them is a bit big. This is all to make up for the fact that I had Easter stuff going on this Sunday and wasn't able to get a review out for you then. And the fact that I've been kind of lax over the past couple weeks, but you know how it goes. Unfortunately, the reason that I've been putting off this review was on the hopes that my pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store would come in and I would be able to do the full Superion, as I've mentioned before. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I have also not been able to find the final aerial bot anywhere retail. So unfortunately, today we will be taking a look at Superion in his incomplete Away 1 form with drag strip as an arm, and bums me out a bit, but it at least gets the point across. So let's go ahead and get started. Of course, we do not start our reviews in robot mode, especially not for a guest alt. So let's get this guy transformed up through the magic of jump cuts. And here we have the aerial bots so far in their robot modes. These are the modes I find it easiest to go into their limb modes from, though it's really not all that different going from vehicle mode to their limb modes either. You just have to know how the transformation works, which fortunately I've already showed you. In terms of these guys and turning into limbs, it's surprisingly intuitive and works very, very well, which we'll get to in a moment. For example, let's take the Fall of Cybertron Bruticus set that came out fairly recently. I don't mind that set. I think it's fairly cool. It looks like the video game counterparts for the most part. I don't mind the G2 color scheme that came out with the retail version. It even looks okay to me in combine mode. But if you asked me to combine that set right now, I wouldn't know where to begin. The combination is just not intuitive at all. It's kind of a big clustered mess. These guys take an entirely different approach. Everything here is neat and tidy and works so well. And I really like it. But we're not going to transform any of these guys first. First, we're going to transform the unofficial aerial bot, Powerglide, who is the only member of the team who I genuinely find it easier to go from vehicle mode into their combined mode, because it's literally like 2 steps. What we're going to do is we're going to loosen this piece and lift it up, and then we're going to come over here to the wings, and we are going to separate them and then bring them up into their robot mode positions. And that's literally it. Now he has this sort of targeting scope here, and these missile pods under his arms are facing forward. His front landing gear acts as the peg by which he is held by Superion in his combined robot mode, which is a feature we will get to soon, and I will have a few things to talk about. Moving on. Yeah, these guys. I, of course, have my preferred legs and my preferred arm. And I'm not going to budge on that opinion, really. So first, I will show you the opposite for these guys. I will show you the arm modes for these two, and the leg modes for him, so we can get a full idea of the transformation of these figures and how they work out. So let's start with this guy. Transformation is really simple. What we're going to do first is rotate his head around so we won't be able to see it, and bring this up like so. And there's a couple things you can do with his arms. Probably the best thing to do is to just bring them up like this, though you can sort of still peg them into the sides here. This will just give you more freedom of articulation. So just kind of bring them up like so, and that's unfortunately how it's going to go for most of the arm modes, is you're going to have some pieces just kind of sticking up somewhere. But anyway, next what we're going to do is we're going to take this section here and rotate it, and then just peg his legs together. And as you can see, he now resembles an arm. And there's a couple more things you can do here. You could take his rotors and kind of bring them up like that to free up this rotation joint. That's actually how I prefer it. I've never seen anybody else do that though, because these do kind of get in the way of the combined mode a little bit. But I think it works out fine. And of course, we have his little foot gun here, which I don't know if I ever showed this yet. You can pop this part out, rotate this in, and then this bit either moves up or down depending on which hand he's going to be. So let's just take it like this, plug it in, and now you can see his weapon is on his knuckles, allowing him to utilize it in combined mode. And I think that is very, very cool. Moving on to figure number 2, transformation is pretty much just as easy. We're going to peg his legs together, and this time we rotate this direction, and then again we'll take his arms and just kind of do whatever with them. I like to bring him back and kind of tuck him under the wings like so, and then rotate his head around, and wrong way, bring this entire section up. And there's a slight issue with this guy. To get the same look as all the other figures with his with this flat part of the leg pointing forward, you don't get the full elbow articulation. You have to rotate it around, and then it has this fin sticking up, and I don't like it. This is actually the primary reason why I didn't choose this guy as an arm, because of that. But hey, wrong one. It does still technically work out. You just take this and transform it exactly the same way, and plug it in, and you can see he has a missile fist. And I mean, he works out fairly well. I just don't like this sticking up here. I don't like where his arms end up. I don't like any of the places where his arms can end up. I just don't feel like it works. But, I mean, to each his own. And moving on to our final limb piece. We're going to be going into leg mode, which, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever actually tried leg mode for this guy. First time's a charm. Anyway, rotate this entire section around like so. Then come around to this side. Bring these up, which is going to give me trouble because I haven't actually done this in a while. Bring them up as if we were going back into vehicle mode, and give it a little bit of force, push that together, and then just bring his arms down. I guess that's the easiest way to do it. Bring his arms down like so, and just bring them flush onto the sides. You can kind of rotate them a little bit if you want it so that those hollow bits aren't showing through. And then you take his foot weapon and you just plug it in, and there you have a leg. And another big reason, I guess you could do that, put his hands over those little tabs. Doesn't really hold anything in place though. I'm sorry, I'm mumbling. Another big reason why I went with the configuration that I did is I don't like this guy as a leg. I mean, I guess there's other ways you could go about it. I mean, this rotates, so there's other posability options for it. But, I mean, this is pretty much the official combination as far as I remember. It's really the only way it could go, and I just don't like it. These, I feel, stick forward too far, whereas on a shoulder it flares out and looks kind of cool. It just, I don't know, it bums me out. Something about the aesthetic of this as a leg just doesn't work for me. So we're going to start with this guy and go into an arm. First we're going to take this and just get its transformation out of the way. Turn it into a hand. And then we're just going to take these bits and unfold them once again and put them back in their robot mode configuration, but do not split them. Then we're going to come up here and I think this is right, yeah. No, that's wrong. What we're going to do, sorry, I'm fumbling a little bit. What we're actually going to do is we're going to take this like this, and there are these tabs here and slots here, and we're just going to slot them in. They don't stay super well, but they stay well enough. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Do that on both sides, of course. And we're just going to take this, rotate his head around so we won't be able to see it. And then bring it up like so, and as you can see now, his head is hidden there, and we're not going to see it through that little gap. And rotate it this way. And then rotate it like this, which has these back fins pointing forward, but I don't really mind it because they're pretty small and innocuous. And there we have him as an arm, and I like that a lot better. Just feel it works significantly better. As for his standard weapon, oops, it's a little small for Superion to hold and look natural, so what I like to do is just peg it on in the back there on his wing. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get these guys transformed up too. Remove this and transform it into foot mode just to get us started. What we're going to do next is we're going to take this, and it goes this way, I believe, yeah. And we're going to collapse it down. I'm sure already you've started to pick up on some of the commonalities of the transformations of these guys. So we're going to take this, bring it down into its standard robot mode position, then take the arms, straighten them out, and they will just slot in on these tabs here. And then we will take his foot, plug it in, and there you have a leg, a right leg, typically when I combine him. And as for his weapon, what I like to do is just kind of take it, peg it in here, kind of off-center. It doesn't come down far enough to hinder the foot at all, and it's fairly hidden, and I think it works pretty well. Finally, let's come over here, remove this, and get it transformed into foot mode. And we're going to come here like this. We're going to collapse everything down, of course. It's, as I mentioned, common threads. And next we're going to take his arms, bring them all the way around, collapse them down, and just like on the previous transformation, they will just slot into tabs on the sides, as if he were going into vehicle mode. There's a couple things you can do here. You can bring these forward, which is typically how I do it. You can also leave them flush like this. So I'm just going to do that. And next, we're going to take this and bring it up. And I don't typically worry about his face because you can't really see it behind this, but you can, I guess, you have to do it this way. You can rotate his head around, of course, and now it's just completely hidden. I don't really mind it one way or the other, though. And then just plug it in. And there we have our, so far, 3 limbs all done. So I'm going to go ahead and move them off to the side. And we are going to take a look at the torso, the majority of this guy. We're going to take a look at Superion after I show off what I do with this weapon, because I completely forgot it was here. Typically, this one's a little trickier. Typically, I just loosen one of the hands and plug it in like that, and then just kind of rotate the arm enough that it pegs in a bit. It's not as elegant as on the other ones, but it works. And of course, you don't have to store the weapons anywhere. You can just put them off to the side. I just feel like weapon storage is kind of a thing now that should be expected on Transformers, so I look for it wherever I can find it. Anyway, Superion's torso, Silverbolt. Good figure. I talked about it a lot. I really like it. I like it even more in its torso mode. I think it looks just amazing. So let's go ahead and get that transformed up. We're going to open this up and fold up his head as if we're going back into vehicle mode. Next, we're going to take his arms and we're going to straighten them, which, see if you can hear that. There is a little tab in there that keeps them in place, because they will be the upper legs. We're going to take it like this, flip him over, bring his fists back, which is probably the only inelegant thing about this. They just kind of float there, and it's kind of annoying, but oh well, it still works out fine. Next, we're going to take these bits and bring that down, fold up his legs, or his feet rather, and then bring this up, and it will just tab in here as it was in vehicle mode. We'll do that, of course, on both sides. And pretty simple. Next, this is the only part I don't really like, is getting this open, because it's kind of difficult. But once you do, bring this up and you can see his head there, and then work these soft rubber antennae into place, which can be a bit annoying because they're soft rubber. I hate it. I believe there's a fix coming for that, replacement parts or something, like a third-party thing, but what are you gonna do? To bring it up, you'll see it actually tabs into this little, and bring it a little closer. There's a little gap there. You can see this actually tabs into it, kind of holds it in place. Next, we're going to come down here, and we're going to take our thumb in this little gap here and just bring this whole section up, so that when we bring these chest pieces in, all the way, hopefully, and bring them together. Jeez, it's hard from behind the camera. This area down here will be filled in, and next we will just take these covers, these little black cover pieces, and bring them down. And there you have Superion's torso. And I think it looks amazing. It looks absolutely fantastic. Great topographed Autobot symbol there, which is slightly slanted, but it's not bad, because it kind of matches the slant of the chest pieces, so it fits, I think. It just works. It works really well. It's a good looking figure, because he's going to be so big when we get him in his full robot mode. I'm going to go ahead and look at his head sculpt now. It's not 100% dead on the G1 version or anything, but it definitely screams Superion to me, which is something that will not be the case when we get to Menasor, but, you know, that's a whole other story. But yeah, I really like him. He looks really great. Combination is pretty simple. Let's bring in a leg here. You have these little sliding panels which will hold them in place, but they don't hinder them going in. It's not like they come down entirely over the connector port. They just come down enough to keep it from sliding out. So now I forgot to bring this up when I was showing his transformation. So put that in like that, and then coming up here, the arms will just slot in from the top like so, and we'll bring in drag strip and do the same thing over here. And of course, once we do get our final aerial bot, I will do a separate video on him and a Superion update. And yeah, it looks great. I'm really super impressed with this entire concept. I got Optimus Prime, Combiner Wars Optimus Prime here, who may look a bit different. That's our second review. We'll talk about that later. I got him first with the other limb pieces, and did the whole, like, what do they call it, like Ultimate Optimus Prime or whatever thing, and I liked it. It looked good, and we saw that in my versus review of Classics to Combiner Wars Optimus Prime. And it looked good. I liked it. I like this so much better. It kills it. Move this out of the way again. It's brilliant. It'll look better once we have the final aerial bot, but just discounting drag strip here, I mean, everything comes together really well. The aesthetic is great. All the feet on the aerial bots are black. So there's a uniformity to them. There's a prevalence of red and white throughout, except on this guy over here, we've got gray instead. But it still works. It still looks good, and I really adore it. All the paint apps here that matter on any of the figures are pretty much spot on display here. There's not a whole lot more to say about it, except Power Glide. I put him in the offhand because we do have Superion's giant weapon, which I'll talk about in a minute. The issue with that, though, is that the joint isn't strong enough to hold him, so you kind of have to bring the whole arm up, and even then it's not really enough. It's unfortunate, and it bums me out, because this guy, I mean, yeah, he doesn't hold together super well, he's not brilliant, but he looks really good as a target master. I really like it. And the fact that he can't seem to hold it in his offhand doesn't really work for me. I've tried this once and it worked better. Let's see if that's actually the case. Yeah, so drag strip can hold him fine, and I'm hoping that the real right arm can hold him, because if that's the case, Power Glide may just become Superion's primary weapon in my display, because, well, you guys knew it was coming. I whined about it a lot. Here's his actual primary weapon, and let's just go ahead and plug it in there, and it's exactly as ridiculous as you expect. I mean, it's out of frame. I mean, look at that. That's just ridiculous. So let's kind of bring him over here. It's huge. I mean, I'll show you. It's as tall as one of his legs. Bring it down. It's absolutely ridiculous. And even more ridiculous is the fact that it flops. I mean, I mentioned that in Silverbolt mode, he held it and it didn't really sit secure in the peg holes. You would imagine that that's because the peg holes on the combiner mode are going to be tighter, so they wanted it to fit the combiner mode better. But no, it flops around. I mean, I don't even have to apply any pressure at all to pull it out. This is a terrible weapon. It's the only thing that disappoints me about a fantastic set. And yeah, I don't even think I'm going to end up using it overall. It's just a big disappointment. Overall, though, Superion, or what we have of Superion so far, is just great. And it's not perfect, obviously. Here's Optimus Prime, and you would expect Superion to be maybe a little bit bigger than that. And I mean, he is a combination of 5 jets, some of which are very large, but it works so well. The aesthetic works so well. The Scramble City aspect of it works so well. Whether it's 100% perfect or not, this set, this combiner, represents so much potential going forward for the Transformers main retail line. And overall, I don't think I could be happier with it. I don't. And I certainly recommend picking up the entire thing. And guys, that is it for this review. I certainly hope you enjoyed it, because I certainly enjoyed making it. It just took me a while. Either way, this is Superion, and I am AwesomeJohn22, and I will talk to you guys later.